you join me in a moment of prayer? May we be, Holy One, as the one in the poem who looks all around and whispers, "Come in, come in." Amen. So I thought that because this year, Advent does not immediately follow Thanksgiving as it does most years, that we would have a Sunday in between of Thanksgiving before Advent started, that by the time Advent started, I would be so ready. But maybe like me, you are thinking to yourself, wow, Advent is here already? Christmas is coming? Maybe, like my mom, you have already completed your shopping in July. But in some ways, even though I walked in this morning and I was like, wow, Advent is here, at the same time, it feels like it couldn't come soon enough this year. Many days this fall, I have just been overwhelmed by what is happening around us in the world. Overwhelmed by the tasks that face me. For myself, for example, I'm expected to make Christmas magic happen for 3 teenagers with very specific and very expensive tastes. I get to lead us through Advent season together, and my personal favorite is we have 2 birthdays to celebrate in December in my family. But really, my sense of overwhelm is nothing when I sit and face what the world is facing. There's a sense sometimes that the world is just spiraling, and I sit helpless in the eye of this storm. Of course, it always feels like the bleakness is stronger when it gets dark at 4 p.m., 3:30, sometimes with a cloud hanging so low it feels like it never quite becomes day. And on these days, I welcome the promise of Advent hope. Some days it really is easier to have hope. I wake up in the morning, I know tomorrow will be great, the future seems like it has potential. And some days are a bit harder. Some days you might wake up tired of feeling lonely. You can't quite seem how to make more connections in your life. Some days it feels like your child, young or grown, seems to keep circling around the same wound that keeps harming them. And you can't figure out a way to pull them out of the cycle. Some mornings you wake up facing aging concerns in a society that does not make room for the ways in which all of our bodies, if we are so lucky, change over time. And some mornings we are sunk in despair over the news that tells us that yet more people have had their lives snuffed out through violence, premature babies, young men with promise, whole families, whole lineages. These are the days when we must practice hope, when we must make room for the coming baby. These are the days when we scour our hearts to find the pockets where despair sits and sours and festers, where it eats away at our belief in the promise of tomorrow, where we feel the gloom and the violence will overtake our world, our lives. These are the days where we save the righteous and holy anger that lives in our hearts, but we force the despair aside. We scoop it out from its hiding places. We create room for just a filament of hope, just a thread of belief in a tomorrow. We tell a story in our faith tradition about a babe who is born in unlikely circumstances, to unlikely parents, out on a cold night under occupation. And when Advent comes, we tell that story again and again, each year, reminding ourselves that hope is born every day, often in the form of a newborn babe, sometimes in the form of faces as we shop for Christmas delights, sometimes in the way that that fresh morning coffee smells, sometimes in the way that we see how people are treating each other. We force the despair aside and we make room for hope. It's a practice occasionally when it doesn't come with a sunrise. But Advent reminds us how important it is, how possible it is, how hope will continue to come if we make room. Make room.